Welcome back to Madman Review. So fellow madmen, have you ever had that moment when you're super hyped about a new release and then it turns out to be a total dud? Yep, we've all been there. 2023 has been quite the year for firearms. A mix of wow moments and some serious, what were they thinking ones. In this video, we'll talk about what we believe are the most disappointing guns of 2023. We're spilling the beans on those hyped up guns that ended up being more fizzle than sizzle. We're not just talking about a few hiccups here and there. These are the models that promised us the moon and stars but barely got off the ground. Whether you're a gun nerd like moi, or you're just curious about the latest in firearms, this video serves as a guide so you know which guns to stay away from. Number 7. PSA STG-44. Palmetto State Armory's STG-44 stirred up quite the buzz in 2023, but not for all the right reasons. This piece is a modern take on a classic, the STG-44, known as the granddaddy of assault rifles. But let's get real. Just because it's got a legendary status doesn't mean the new kid on the block is automatically cool. First off, we're talking $1,799 for pre-order. That's a serious chunk of change, and it's got a lot of folks questioning whether it's worth it, especially when there are so many solid, more affordable options out there. Even worse, after the pre-orders, PSA confirmed that all STG-44s will cost more. There's rumors that they'll cost upwards of $2,000 a piece. Take note, these guns are built by the guys at Hill & Mack Gunworks. These are supposedly a modern interpretation of the original STG-44, available in 4 rifle calibers: 5.56, 223, 7.62 by 39, 300 blackout, and 7.92 by 33 Kurz. The original chambering. It had not been manufactured for decades because no new rifles chambered caliber, but PPU of Serbia is now making some. Now, the STG-44 has its fan base, no doubt, but when you break it down, it's a bit like owning a classic car that looks cool in the driveway but isn't all that great to drive. The original STG-44 was a trailblazer back in the day, but fast forward to now and it's kind of like bringing a knife to a gunfight. It's got the nostalgia factor, sure, but in terms of functionality, it's not exactly cutting edge. Number 6. Inland Manufacturing M1 Carbine. The M1 Carbine's a classic, yeah? Inland Manufacturing's new version released this year is a slice of history made right here in the good old US of A. It's a spitting image of the last model Inland cranked out in 1945. This carbine's got all the cool features: a Type 3 bayonet lug, barrel band, adjustable rear sights for nailing your target, a handy push-button safety, and a round bolt. It's rocking a classic low-wood walnut stock and comes with a 15-round mag. But it's ready for those bigger 30-rounders too. Chambered in .30 carbine, it's got an 18-inch barrel, total length of 35.75 inches, and weighs in at just over 5 pounds. It's a piece of the past brought back to life for today's shooters, and it was on my radar to get one after I had heard about it. Now, I got lucky, or maybe unlucky, when a friend of mine bought one. I was able to check it out. We're all kind of spoiled these days with the super reliable guns like AKs and ARs, but remember, older guns like this M1 Carbine, they're a different story on the range, though they are fresh off the line with updated materials and springs, which should iron out those old school issues. But man, my experience with the Inland M1 Carbine? Not great. First thing I noticed was the wood. Felt like something off a cheap airsoft gun. During my test, I was hitting like 2 to 10 jams every 50 rounds. And with a price tag of around $1,200, that's just nuts. Even if they slash the price in half, I'd still think twice before shelling out for one. Number 5. Standard Manufacturing S333 Thunderstruck Volley Fire. I'll be honest, the Thunderstruck volley fire is, let's just say, it's a head turner for some not so great reasons. First off, this little number is a double-barreled revolver. Yeah, you heard that right. Double-barreled. Sounds like something straight out of a Wild West show, doesn't it? It's got this unique design where it fires 2 shots at once from its 22 Magnum barrels. Sounds cool in theory, right? But here's where things start to go south. Now, I'm all for innovation in firearms, but this Thunderstruck is a bit like that old saying about biting off more than you can chew. The whole shooting experience with this gun is, well, let's just say, it's an adventure. And not the fun kind. For starters, the trigger on this bad boy is something else. It's like trying to pull a staple gun. Seriously tough. And if you're the kind of shooter who's used to a smooth trigger pull, prepare for a shock. Plus, the sights are a whole other story. They're basically molded on there, and they're about as accurate as trying to hit a bullseye during a hurricane. Shooting this thing accurately? Good luck with that. It's more of a cross your fingers and hope for the best kind of deal. The idea of firing 2 rounds at once might sound like a blast, but in practice, it's more of a spray and pray situation. And the kicker? It's got all these quirks. But it also struggles with basic things like ejecting rounds and cylinder issues. It's like the designers focused so much on making it unique that they forgot about making it reliable. Number 4, Beretta ADX Cheetah. So, the Beretta ADX Cheetah is making waves as the new cool kid on the block in the gun world. If you're eyeing one, the launch edition is the one to watch. It's got this slick extended beaver tail that's not just for looks, it actually makes holding and shooting the gun feel way better. The coolest part? The ADX Cheetah is ready for your favorite mini red dot sight. It's like going from regular specs to some high-tech, futuristic vision gear, giving you a real edge and nailing your target fast and accurately. Plus, it's got this handy rail on the dust cover for adding stuff like flashlights or lasers, making it super versatile for different situations. Performance-wise, this gun's a gem. You can tweak the trigger to feel just right, like a custom-made suit but for your trigger finger. And with its trusty 380 ACP rounds and a nice 13-round mag, this pistol is like a sharp, precise tool that's ready to deliver when you need it. But why the buzz? It's got a hefty $999 price tag, and honestly, it doesn't seem like you're getting your money's worth. Compare it to the Ruger Security 380, smaller, lighter, 15 rounds, and only cost $369. Or even the tinier Ruger LCP Max with 10 rounds, priced at just $479. Makes you wonder, why Beretta? Why? Number 3, Smith & Wesson Model 350. The Model 350 is the new kid in Smith & Wesson's X-Frame lineup, joining the monstrous Model 500 and Model 460 XVR. Why Model 350? Because it chambers the 350 Legend cartridge, Winchester's new straight-walled rifle ammo designed for deer hunting in places where you can only hunt with straight-walled centerfire cartridges. The 350 Legend packs a 180-grain bullet that zips along at 2,100 feet per second from a 20-inch barrel, hitting hard with 1,762 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. That's some serious power. Good for deer hunting up to 250 yards out. But remember, that's with a 20-inch rifle barrel, and the Model 350 only sports a 7.5-inch barrel. Shooting the 350 Legend from Big Blue's Model 350 is a big letdown. This revolver only has a 7.5-inch barrel, and out of it, a 170-grain 350 Legend bullet drops to just 1,551 feet per second, giving you a muzzle energy of 908 foot-pounds. Basically, it cuts its potential in half, making it weaker than your standard 44 Magnum loads. It's even more of a bummer when you consider the gun's size and price. The Model 350 is a beast at 13.5 inches long, 1.92 inches wide, 6.375 inches tall, and a hefty 71.5 ounces. Plus, it'll set you back $1,599. Not exactly easy on the wallet. By comparison, the Ruger Superhawk in 454 Casull is a tad shorter at 13 inches, way lighter at 53 ounces, and cheaper at $1,469. Ballistics-wise, it's a monster. A 240-grain 454 Casull bullet from its 7.5-inch barrel can blast up to 1,900 feet per second, delivering a whopping 1,923 foot-pounds at the muzzle. That's double the power of the 350 Legend. Makes you wonder, what were the engineers at Smith & Wesson thinking when they designed the Model 350? Number 2, Henry Big Boy Revolver. So back in April, Henry, the guys known for killer rifles, got their die-hard Big Boy rifle fans all hyped up. They dropped their very first handgun, the Big Boy Revolver, and it's like the pistol version of their famous rifle. This DA-SA revolver comes in .357 Magnum and has two styles, the Gunfighter with a square butt and another with a sleek bird's head grip, perfect for keeping it under wraps. Now, this revolver looks legit. It's got this sturdy steel frame, a super sleek blue finish that just pops, and a 6-shot cylinder with a 4-inch barrel that just adds to its charm. The grips, top-notch American walnut, and the brass trigger guard, pure class. For aiming, it's got the classic setup, a fixed notch in the back and interchangeable front blades. It's a nice touch from Henry, showing they really think about what shooters want. But here's the deal. It's priced at $928. That's pretty steep, especially when you think about how it stacks up against something like the Smith & Wesson 686 Plus, which has been around for a while and even packs an extra round. Henry could have cut costs with finishes like melanite or parkerized instead of the fancy polishing and bluing. They could have hit a more reasonable price, maybe around $700. And their style choice. No top rib or full barrel underlug. It looks cool, sure, but it leaves the ejector exposed. Plus, the thin barrel makes the balance feel off, especially with full power 357 rounds. So, while the Big Boy Revolver is a neat first step into handguns for Henry, it's got some revolver aficionados scratching their heads. Number 1, Glock 47. The Glock 47 was released in early 2023 and it gave the classic Glock 17 a run for its money. So what's the big deal about it? Think of it as a Gen 5 Glock 17, but with a twist. You can swap parts with the Glock 19 and slap on a red dot sight instead of sticking with old school iron sights. And if you know your Glocks, you'll realize that the 17 and 19 parts don't usually mix. Some folks aren't buying into the hype. They say, if you put a Glock 19 slide on a Glock 47 frame, aren't you basically just making a Glock 45? And why bother when you could just upgrade your Glock 19 with a Shield's Arm 20-round mag instead? And get this, Glock enthusiasts even had a name for a Glock 47 slide on a Glock 19 frame. They called it the Glock 49. Sounds cool, right? Well, yes, because it is cool. So cool, in fact, that if you haven't heard, Gaston is releasing a pistol model called the Glock 49 in 2024, which does have a Glock 47 slide sitting on top of a Glock 19 frame. But that's neither here nor there.